I would say within my studio, my graphite sticks are probably the ones I'm most connected to. They're literally sticks of graphite that are compressed into these giant forms, and I feel like I'm drawn like a kid every time I utilize them, but they're integral to my work, and without them they wouldn't look like how they do.
Would you tell us a little more about your current body of work and practice, and how would you describe it to someone encountering your work for the first time?
So my work follows ice hockey. I have a lot of experience in contact sports. I play roller derby here at Davidson for Death by Davidson, and then I myself am a hockey player. I usually play defense, although sometimes I do play forward. I really was influenced when first coming back to Davidson after going abroad of how ice hockey, the contact within it is so elegant and so unique that there's almost a small window of time of a dance between two people. In this violent storm, there's this beautiful little moment like an eye of a hurricane, and which is quite fitting as my pieces follow the Carolina Hurricanes and the Charlotte Checkers, who are two ice hockey teams that I follow quite religiously now, as I'm from North Carolina, from Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're a part of my personality. I will have small witty bouts with my friends who are up in Canada about their teams and how the different contacts between the teams and between people are influenced greatly by these things that may be deemed as mistakes or what is seen as a perfect hit. How does that contact come into play, and how can the movement and excitement be put in through the marks that I make in my work utilizing those graphite sticks, smudging. I work quite quickly as if I am playing a game of hockey myself, as we have these bouts that come in. There's no stopping the game for someone to go in or out. It's just a continuous loop over and over where you're basically sprinting the entire time. And my work works like that. I'll take time afterwards then to maybe blend, touch up a bunch of stuff, but those marks that I make that are incredibly quick are integral to the motion and the emotion behind the pieces themselves.
And going off the graphite sticks, what draws you to working specific medium or materials that you use?
I have really always utilized graphite. I didn't have any formal training until I came to Davidson, and I always loved the versatility of graphite, that there are so many different marks and saturations that you can make just with one stick, and different hardness in it, and the softness of the composition itself. And as a chemist, I am quite astounded by the lattice position that is created through different carbons, and it's just emotionally close to me, as it is something that I have used since I started on my own back in 8th grade, and I just also really like working with it. There's something so earthy about working with my stuff. It's so rough, and if compressed more, it can turn into charcoal, and then it can turn into diamond, and there's something so visceral about working with this beautiful tone of black that can be changed based off of just how the pressure you apply. It's just like skating. The pressure that you apply can change your stance, it can change your position, it can change your direction, and in these small bits, the graphite itself can work exactly like a skate in how it etches itself into the paper and creates these dark lines just as you would if you were skating on ice or the ground.
Are there any influences outside of art, such as like literature, music, ice hockey, that shape how you work?
Sure. So my work is heavily influenced by the ice hockey culture itself. I have a very specific playlist that I actually utilize when I'm doing art versus when I'm doing, say, work for my other major. And then the other influences that are important to me are like the fact that I do other things besides ice hockey. I do MMA. I am a practicing and working EMT, so I know how violence and I know how pain can be influenced, but I also understand the complexity of those different pains and different tolerances and the strange concoction that happens when all of those things are kind of mixed together to kind of make something beautiful. It's like a soup. You put in a bunch of different ingredients, and sure, it could come out pretty bad, but it also could be absolutely amazing just based off how you put it together.
And what are some direct artist influences?
I am really influenced by William Kentridge and his graphite work, and then George Bellows with his boxing movement works. He works in lithography and graphite, and the way that movement is put out is really inspiring. Just as William de Kooning, he doesn't have very positioned forms of the human body, but they're more about the marks that he makes and how those different marks can give semblance of a human, but also can give semblance of movement, and the sporadity is what makes it that much better for being a human being, rather than if he were to do the regular kind of circles and boxes kinds of movements.
How does a piece usually begin for you, and how do you know it's finished?
Pieces usually begin with, I find a picture of either the Charlotte Checkers or the Carolina Hurricanes in a contact position, or sometimes I'll have to go into videos and try and stop it at the exact moment that I'm looking for, and I'll zoom in to a specific point that I really like about it and go from there to kind of, I don't trace it, I just look at it as a reference point and I go off of just what my instincts are, and I don't really start erasing until after I'm done with that very quick process, because those works are what make my work kind of the way that they are. I really don't know, there's not really a process for when I know that it's done. I just know that it's done when I look at it and go, yeah, I know exactly what that is, where that is, when that is, and I know exactly where the contact is. Maybe a little bit later I'll add a bit more shadows into it, but other than that, I really never know when it's done. It's more of a, I'm gonna move on to the next thing now, and if I get back to it, I do. If I don't, then I don't, as not knowing if things are truly done is also a bit of part of the process, since if I try to micromanage every bit about my art, it won't be as fluid or as frictionless as it is in the way that it is originally put down.